Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bone Zone. I am your humble narrator, Skelegon, and today I will be talking about the 2017 Bulgarian psychological thriller NIGHTWORLD, starring Robert Englund and Jason London, directed by Patricio Valadares. Valadares, I think that's how you pronounce that. So, anyways, according to IMDb, this film is about former LAPD officer Brett Anderson, who takes a job as security at an old apartment building in Bulgaria's capital, Sofia. He soon begins to experience a series of bizarre and terrifying events. Once he begins to delve deeper into the building's sinister history and investigates its shady owners and past employees, Brett soon uncovers a malevolent force nestled deep in the bowels of the building that will do anything to be set free into our world. So you're probably wondering why I chose this film. Had past great experiences, I'm saying that sarcastically, with Bulgaria in the Bulgarian remake of Day of the Dead Bloodline. This film also stars Robert Englund, who is a veteran horror movie actor, probably most famous, well, definitely most famous for his role as Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. He's also been in numerous other movies, including Eaten Alive, Galaxy of Terror, and basically like every TV show from the 90s. He's a fun guy to watch. He's been in a ton of bad movies, but he never disappoints. He's always enjoyable, even if the film he is in is not. So this movie has that going for it. Also, as I mentioned in one of my first reviews, I believe it was the second one I did for Inferno, I'm a big fan of movies about evil architecture, and I saw this summary, and I was thinking, hey, that could possibly be about evil architecture. You never know, it could just be a haunted house movie, but there's, generally some themes going on there, similar themes, so that's pretty interesting. Also, you can't go wrong because it's on Netflix, so I'm not paying anything to watch it that I'm not already paying for, so it's not like I went out of my way to watch it. So anyways, what I'm expecting from this movie is it's a psychological horror film, it's a Bulgarian movie, and it's got Robert Englund in it. I'm assuming most of the budget probably went for Robert Englund, so I'm guessing the special effects are going to be probably close to non-existent in this movie. It's a psychological horror movie, so that can either mean it'll be amazing, as psychological horror movies can be, or it'll be extremely boring. The usual thing that, psychological horror movies will often do is they'll have, to kind of make things tense, there'll be, a scene where, the main character just kind of, gets a concerned look on his face, and, is just kind of, staring off, and there's, creepy music playing while, something unsettling happens. I'm expecting there's going to be that. I'm expecting the secret of the house is probably going to be that there's some kind of cult in the house in the past or something like that. Usually I find psychological horror movies take that route. I don't think they'll go for a sci-fi twist. I don't think it's going to turn out the house is full of aliens or something. So I'm predicting it's going to be there was a demonic cult in the house, or maybe just a demonic serial killer in the past, and the spirit never left the building, and it's there in the basement for some reason, and it's preying on main character's weakened state of mind, because these movies are always, the twist is usually main character investigates the thing, and then main character unwittingly gets sucked into the scheme of whatever it is manipulating things behind the scene, and they end up doing the thing's job for it. And then the big twist at the end when the main character realizes that they've been duped this whole time, and they're kind of whoa, what have I done? Kind of thing. That's usually how these kind of movies play out. So maybe it'll surprise me, maybe it won't. Either way, I'm not really losing much by watching it. So let's give the NIGHTWORLD a look, and I'll report back to you if I survive. Hi guys, welcome back. This is probably gonna be a short one. I watched Night World. It's not much of a movie really to talk about. It was pretty boring. It wasn't really very psychological. Usually when I think of psychological horror films or thrillers or anything, usually what I think of is a movie where there's ambiguity as to whether or not the horror elements are real or if it's all just imagined or the result of, some kind of psychosis in the protagonist. This movie, there's no ambiguity. It's just obvious that it's ghosts and stuff. Um, don't even want to do a full scene by scene for this one. The last couple ones I just, it's not even because I don't, usually I don't want to do a scene by scene because I feel like if it's a movie where you'll get more out of it for watching it. This is just a case where I just don't care about this movie enough to really do a scene by scene. But the overall idea is that this former LAPD officer, his life is kind of, in shambles or whatever. He's living in Bulgaria, and he takes a job as a night watchman for this bizarre building. Now, you're probably wondering why an LAPD officer is living in Bulgaria. That's kind of strange. And a couple of characters it's actually highlighted, I think, at least twice in the movie. People are like, why are you an American living in Bulgaria, of all places? And it's because he was apparently vacationing in Bulgaria, famous vacation destination Bulgaria, and he met his wife there, so they got married, and he, fell in love with the place, and then what ends up happening is later on, there's, I can't even remember if they said the exact timeline of events here, but he was doing his LAPD officer thing, and he ends up shooting a suspect because the suspect killed his partner, so he becomes this kind of disgraced officer, and I think maybe after that, his wife commits suicide. Or, I'm not sure exactly on the whole timeline of that part, but that's the overall idea of why he's sort of this American who's now living in Bulgaria and taking the job as a night watchman. Because he's also got another expatriate friend who's living in Bulgaria too. So anyways, they were over there, and he gets his job as a night watchman. His boss is this guy with this really bizarre British accent. I don't want to look it up. I don't know if he's an actual British man, or they just hired a local to do a really zany, over-the-top British accent, because this guy sounds really goofy. But anyway, so he finds out this is an old house, and basically his job is to guard the basement, and they have cameras set up all throughout the basement, and there's this big wooden door. It's just this fancy engraved looking door frame. It's got Enochian symbols, which, for those of you who don't know, the Enochian alphabet is a sort of mystical alphabet of sort of ruins, or whatever you want to call them, that was created by John Dee and Edward Kelly back in the 16th century. They are, of course, the villains in the video game Neo, and who were also very much real-life occultists. It's supposed to have, be like the language of the angels. Anyway, so there's this big wooden door covered in, Enochian symbols, and it's got, skulls carved into it, and all this and that. It's a big spooky door, and we basically find out main character guy's job is to just guard the door, make sure nothing gets in, nothing gets out, and call this number on a he's handed the cell phone and told to just press speed dial 1 if anything happens whatsoever. So he goes about his job, and the first day or two, everything's fine. He meets a local girl at the cafe, and they kind of hit things off. She's very poorly acted, by the way. The actress, she's not the best at English. Yeah, so it's just, like I said, it's hard to get excited about this movie. So, anyways, he ends up seeing a shadow figure in one of the security footage things he's watching, so he calls that number. That leads to a specialist coming in. The guy on the other end's like, oh, I'm coming down, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Turns out that is Robert Englund's character. He plays in like a night. He was a former night watchman there. He's now retired because he's now blind. And he knows, he's kind of mysterious. He knows things he's not telling anybody. So, it's a horror movie. It's pretty generic. There's a bunch of spooky stuff happens. And main character guy's like, I want answers. And his boss, the, like, weirdo British guy, won't give him any answers. So, reluctantly, Robert Englund's character agrees to kind of fill him in on what's going on, and it turns out that this building is built over one of the 7 gateways to the underworld, or the night world as he calls it. And then it's just kind of, things deteriorate from there. The ending is really stupid. Don't even want to... Main thing about the ending is basically just like, they decide that they have to go in there and seal the, I guess, breach behind the gate. It's not really explained how they plan on doing that, but they go in there, and then he sees his dead wife, and he's like, oh, you should come back with me, and then they try to leave, and everyone dies, and then, the cavalry show up, and they shoot some ghosts. It's really dumb. They're like, I don't know if the dead people are supposed to be like ghosts, or if they're zombies, or they're kind of like a mix of the two, but it's just a dumb, stupid movie. One thing I do like about it is probably only like 2 or 3 things I really liked about this movie. One is that it's a Bulgarian movie, where they don't try to hide the fact that it's Bulgaria. A lot of these Eastern European movies, they will try to hide the fact that where it's taking place, they'll have like an American actor, and they'll say the movie's set in America, but you can tell just by the, even just by like the architecture, even by like the trees, it's just, you can tell it's Eastern Europe and not like California. They don't try to hide that. They do, just go like, they're full blown, just like, yep, this is Bulgaria. This is where this is taking place. So that's kind of neat. And they do have, people speaking Bulgarian in it, and, that's kind of a nice touch, I guess. But, the acting's really bad. You can tell I think they got some locals to do it, and they're struggling with the English in some cases. It's, not a great movie in that regards, or in most regards. The kind of second thing I liked about it is main character guy, his name's Jason London. That's kind of a confusing thing, Robert Englund and Jason London. Anyways, Jason London, I've seen him in other movies before. I can't really place him, but I've seen him in, like, other B movies and stuff. He's pretty decent in this movie. He's kind of relatable and likable in the way they portray him. Next character that was good was Robert Englund's character. He was well played. All the other performances, like I said, were pretty garbage. Next other point is, I did like the sort of references to the 7 gates, all that kind of stuff. You could almost, in a way, maybe see this movie as set in the same universe as Fulcio's The Beyond, or From Beyond, I forget which. Those are 2 different movies, The Beyond and From Beyond. Anyways, the Lucio Fulci movie, which is just a really bad Italian movie where it's set at one of the 7 gates, and I don't know. It could be it could be the same universe for all we know. Who knows? They're both about, the dead coming back to life and the 7 gates of hell and all that. But anyways, both of those are bad movies. Actually, all 3, this movie and then From Beyond and The Beyond, all 3 are just bad movies. But those latter 2, From Beyond and The Beyond, are better than this movie, but that's not saying much. So overall, NIGHTWORLD is just kind of a bad, forgettable movie. I almost don't think it's worth talking about. But, I don't know. If you like Bulgaria, finally a movie for you Bulgaraboos. If you like Robert Englund and you have to see every movie he's in, I feel bad for you, son, but go see this movie. If you like Yeah, that's the only two reasons I could see somebody liking this movie, is if they like Robert Englund or they like movies, Bulgarian movies set in Bulgaria. That's about it. No other real reason to watch this movie. If you're looking for an actual psychological horror movie that is really good, I would recommend a movie called They Look Like People. It's on Netflix. I think it's on Amazon Prime as well. It's an amazing movie. I've seen it a couple of times. I enjoy it every time, and that is a genuinely good psychological movie where they do really maintain the ambiguity throughout the movie as to whether or not the main character is just imagining things, or if he is really in a genuine, supernatural experience. I don't want to spoil too much about that movie. Just go see that. You'll enjoy it way more than you would NIGHTWORLD. So, yeah, that's about all. Coming down the pike, I'll probably do The Outlaw Josie Wales, which is a Clint Eastwood cowboy movie. I also have Demolition Man and Royal Space Force, The Wings of Hanamise. Plus, I'll probably have some other, cheesy horror movies from Netflix and Amazon. And then at the end of May, I'm going to be getting the Criterion Blu-ray collection of Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters, which is about Yukio Mishima, famous Japanese writer slash bodybuilder slash ultranationalist slash failed revolutionary. So yeah, that'll be coming down the pike. And in the meantime, have a great day and stay safe.